Happy 4th of July, everybody. Ready for some horror stories? Today, we're doing some horror reactions from Nightmare Files. This one, I think, is 3 stories.
I'm a 36-year-old woman, and when I was 26, I went through a life-altering breakup. To
Okay.
save you some time from reading so much, I'll just sum it up. It
Okay.
took me about 3 years to get back into a serious relationship.
For sure.
So about 2 months after my breakup, some female friends invited me over to this very large, old, and beautiful house that the two of them rented for the 4th of July.
Nice.
When I arrived at the house, they told me that they invited a guy friend who they wanted me to meet. I had seen his picture on one of their MySpace friends list. I commented that he
MySpace.
was cute at some point before.
It'd been a minute.
They promised there was no pressure.
Right.
I was, after all, mostly still a raw and tragic mess at this point. So the guy friend arrived and we were introduced. While he was not as cute as his profile picture,
The hookup,
he was funny and easy to talk to.
filters.
Besides, I wasn't looking for anything, so whatever.
Right.
I then learned that he was quite taken by how gorgeous I was.
Oh.
Even though he chose to tell me that he was nervous when he first met me. He said I looked like a beast, whatever that means. We hung out that night, and when he asked for my number, I gave it to him because he seemed like a decent enough person.
That doesn't
Fast
sound like a
forward 2 weeks or
compliment.
so. We've talked a little through text and instant messenger, and I've hung out with our group of mutual friends a handful of times.
All right.
I make it very clear that I'm in no state to be in a relationship if he wants to try to take it there. He says he understands, but that he enjoys my company. I said, fair enough.
He's still trying to get in.
So one night after we've been out with our group at our usual bars and restaurants, I agreed to go back to his place with him. We hang out and, we do our adult things. No big deal. The next morning, we're hanging out and chatting a bit before I have to head home.
Okay.
At some point, he says, you're a really heavy sleeper. My initial reaction is to chuckle, and I agree that I sleep like a dead person.
Well, yeah, but
Before I catch something
that's kind of weird
in his tone that I can't put my finger on.
Right.
I say, wait, what do you mean? He stumbles over his words a little, and he says, I just honestly thought you were pretending to be asleep because you were making these little noises like you were enjoying yourself. I felt like someone had poured ice water down my spine and was speechless for a moment before
he was violating her?
What did you do to me? He blanched at my tone and quickly said, nothing, really. I mean, once I realized you were really asleep, I stopped. He refused to elaborate on that statement, but I felt absolutely
You mean
sickened.
incriminate?
In the months following this, he would text me obsessively, send me messages on MySpace at all hours of the night, telling me things like, have fun getting laid, you cunt. Apparently, this all stemmed from his inability to understand why I didn't want to be his girlfriend or see him anymore. He started flirting with my friends in an attempt to make me jealous, and even started trying to chat up the 15-year-old sister of my best friend.
What?
Except that his flirtation devolved into him saying that he hated her because she reminded him of me.
Oh my
In the end, his
God,
crazy
what
behavior
a
only
freak,
stopped
dude.
when one of my friends, who he said was disgusting because she was overweight, but she had pretty eyes, she responded to him positively to his advances. Today, they're still married, as far as I know. I contacted him about 5 years ago, wanting to apologize for any pain that I might have caused him. He ended up making inappropriate comments on my Facebook pictures in the middle of the night and picking weird, petty fights with my fiance in the comments. Even though he is married to a psychiatrist, his actions made it abundantly clear that growth and rational behavior still aren't his strong suits.
Maybe
I now live
he's
700
dependent
miles
on that.
away from where I first met him.
Right.
I moved back to my hometown 2 years ago, though. Unfortunately, I learned about a year ago that he now lives in the same state. Thinking about him still makes my skin crawl. I live in fear of him realizing that I'm a relatively short drive away. Hopefully he doesn't find me again.
Dang. You know, some of that stuff, like psychologically, you would think that it could affect people for real. But if I ever was violated, I wouldn't want to know. I wouldn't want to know. I would just rather like be troubled for the rest of my life, just thinking that something might have happened, but not actually having the details of what went on, because that'll make you insecure for real. Man, what a horrible story, right? I mean, the story was good, but You know what I get. Nightmare File story was good. This story was good. Let's see what the next one is, y'all.
From
Creepy
2004 to 2007, my best friend Katie and I worked at a small family-owned seafood restaurant in Winchester Bay, Oregon.
All
In
right.
2006, we were invited by the cook and a small group of regulars to come to a bonfire on the bay to watch the
That's
fireworks.
so
with them on the 4th
typical,
of
man.
July.
Restaurant,
Thinking it sounded
get-togethers after work.
And having no other plans,
Mm-hmm.
we agreed to come. Upon arrival, we find the boys drinking next to a huge fire situated in a large clearing
Very
type
typical.
strip of grass. This
Very
grassy
typical.
stretch was surrounded on 3 sides with dense thickets of evergreens. There was one
Alright.
wide, clearly defined trail that led through the trees to the water's edge and gravel parking area behind us.
All right.
Being 20 years old, we weren't opposed to drinking, but we didn't know these men that well. We decided to stay sober and just enjoy the fire and the upcoming show in the sky just in case they started acting inappropriately.
Right.
After chatting for a bit, the guys decided they wanted to partake in herbal smoking session. Katie and I say no thanks, and the boys head off into the woods.
They're trying to stay sober.
Katie and I are standing alone by the fire, just vibing and enjoying the evening. Suddenly, I get this strange sensation and my eyes keep wandering to a specific area of the tree line. It's a crawling sensation, which I'm trying to ignore, but I can't help myself.
Like you're being watched?
I just keep glancing over. After a minute or two, an older woman comes walking out of the trees. She was not on or near the trail. This tiny woman had walked through an area of this thick undergrowth in pitch black. She was short and looked frail.
Okay.
Although it was hard to tell as she was dressed in layers of a raggedy long skirt.
Oh,
and
she was
had
homeless,
several
maybe?
shawls or blankets wrapped around her shoulders like a human rag bag.
That's gotta creep
She was
you out,
hunched
though.
over and walking slowly as if
She might have
she
needed
were
help.
older and her joints were bothering her.
Right.
She was a little over 100 yards away and it was twilight, so I couldn't make out her face or features. Just her outfit, which, I'm not gonna lie, it was pretty creepy. Figuring that she
Anytime
was a
a
homeless
stranger,
person
you
who
know?
deserved some respect and sympathy, I tried not to stare. However, when I looked over at Katie, she was watching this woman also. The
Right.
woman had a force or vibe about her that made it hard not to watch her.
But it's
She gave
unsettling.
off the feeling of a wild animal in your house. Well, you know,
Yeah.
it's probably not too dangerous, but
Desperate
you keep an
people
eye on it
could
just in
be
case.
very desperate, you know, and
feeling
do
of
desperate
unease
stuff.
that I kept trying to shake. Katie turns to me and asks if I'm seeing this. I reply yes. She's probably just a homeless person. Poor lady. Katie feels that she shouldn't look away. This validation of my misgivings is not comforting. Katie and I stand in silence, watching the woman make her slow, tottering way along the tree line to our front left. I'm still feeling bad for staring and I'm going through all these reasons in my head that I'm an idiot and worrying about a decrepit grandmother.
That's not,
Even
no,
if she
you're not
does
an
look
idiot,
like
man.
a stereotypical
You're
witch.
just creeped out.
Suddenly, the woman comes to a complete stop. Until this moment, she had been looking at the ground. She
Okay.
now stops, raises her head, and looks directly at us.
Well, y'all been
A
staring
feeling
at
of
her.
dread immediately hits me in the gut. My stomach drops. Her look feels malevolent, and even though I still can't make out facial features in the dusk. And then, no shit, this woman raises her left arm and points straight at us while letting out the most blood-curdling screech I've ever heard
Oh
in
my
life.
god, that's creepy, dude.
I think my heart stopped beating for a split second. I will have this image in my head to this day. Right in front of her pointing finger, a silhouette of a human made what looked like a black mist.
Oh.
A shadow person. The first one I've ever seen. I don't know if it just appeared or it actually came from her body. I barely had time to register what I was seeing before the thing flew towards us. It moved so incredibly fast that it blurred. And it covered about 300 feet in less
You
than
sure
3
you didn't
seconds.
smoke no weed, girl?
This thing passed directly between me and Katie. It was on my left and on her right. It literally blew my hair back over my shoulders on the side when
Maybe
it
it's an
brushed
old
past.
witch
We
lady,
spent
man.
several seconds in complete shock staring at each other with the bloodless pale faces.
So Katie knew too.
Simultaneously, we both turned to look at the woman. She was no longer looking at us or acknowledging us in any way, but had picked up her pace It was doing a hobbling sort of run in the direction she had originally been headed, eyes on the ground. Katie and I stood in silence, each afraid that we might have just gone mad. At first, I was afraid to even
Or been
ask her if
cursed.
she had seen that thing, but looking at her face, I knew she had seen something. She finally asked if I had seen what she just did, because she wasn't sure if it was real.
Right.
We compared notes and realized
I
that
mean,
we had both witnessed the same thing.
both of
And
y'all
I
saw
started
the
freaking
same
out about the
ish.
fact that this thing had been real enough to blow my hair back.
Right.
She admitted that while she did not experience her hair moving, she had seen my hair blow back as she turned her head to watch it go right in between us. I have no idea who that was or what she sent after us. It looked like a shadow person, but who knows what the hell that was.
But if it went between y'all...
And never in my life have I ever heard of a shadow person doing a living person's bidding, and have looked into this after this experience. I've never seen her again, and I surely never want to. This experience has bothered me for years, so I brought it to the internet to find out if anyone else has ever witnessed a shadow person and a living person working together, or at least get some theories as to
You
what
don't know if it's a
happened
shadow
that
person,
day.
though.
I think we saw the shadow thing once more a couple nights later, but it didn't have a human shape that time, so I'm not sure if that was the same entity or not. But
maybe just PTSD.
the timing seemed too coincidental. Please let me know what that was.
And shadows at night and campfires and all that, man. I mean, you never know. The fact that two people thought they saw the same thing, though, may have just been because they were creeped out. All in all, still freaky, man.
On July 4th, 2018, I got off work in the afternoon, and I decided that instead of trying to go downtown and do something, I was going to stay at home and watch the fireworks from my porch. The part of town I was living in at the
Cheaper
time
like
was
that?
situated on an uphill
That's how I
incline.
roll.
And when I looked out my bedroom window at night, I could see a good portion of the city.
That's
At
nice.
9 p.m., the first few pops of the fireworks sounded off, and I scurried outside to watch.
Right.
Unfortunately, what I thought was going to be a clear view was partially blocked by the trees that lined my street, so I decided to find another spot. My street dead ended into a major vein in the city, and if you turn left at the end of the block and walked a little ways, there was a Red Cross building with a large open parking lot. Perfect, I thought. I got to the Red Cross, and at this point, it was maybe 15 minutes into the show. I stood under a street light in the parking lot, enjoying the unobstructed view, when I heard the sound of a car turning onto the road that runs parallel to this parking lot.
That's rough.
I looked
because
over and I saw an older mid to late 90s model Mercury or Buick of some sort driving slowly down the road. The car skidded to a stop so abruptly that I heard the tires squeal, and before I knew it, whoever was driving was pulling into the parking lot.
Yeah, I'd be out.
Direct beeline for me.
I'd be out.
And then they floored it. I turned and I ran as fast as I could across the parking lot toward a row of houses on another street on the opposite side of the lot. People were out on their front porches, and I figured the car wouldn't try to snatch me if there were potential witnesses.
Right.
I ran past the people and behind a road closed sign that blocked traffic to another street that ran behind the Red Cross building. There had been heavy construction on this road all summer, and while people could drive on it, they can only get so far without running into more barriers.
Why you didn't just run to your house?
Me and I saw the red car stop just before the barrier and they sit for a minute, headlights shining directly at me through the large industrial sign. Just as soon as they had appeared, they did a 3-point turn and disappeared into the night. My heart was pounding from the close call.
I guess.
I figured I was safe now. I could still see part of the fireworks show that was going on.
They could have just been trying to freak you out, but...
a quiet little back neighborhood, and I watched it. When it was over, the people on the porches went back inside, and I started to walk home. I was walking parallel to the little cemetery that sits on this back road, when again I heard the sound of a car coming down the road. When I turned, I looked, and I looked behind me. I recognized the familiar outline of the car that had chased me.
Why wouldn't you have just gone home if you was scared like that?
I ducked behind the closest house, hoping and praying that they didn't have some sort of motion sensing security light that would give my position away, or that whoever lived here wouldn't come outside and catch me. I hid quickly enough that I hoped the car, which I had seen at some distance, wouldn't see where I had gone. I thought for a minute, maybe I was just being paranoid, but
You
as it
probably
got
were.
closer, I recognized the music that they had been playing when they chased me for the first time. I heard the brake squeal slightly as it slowed down to a crawl and then a stop. The car must have sat in front of that house for about 30 seconds.
Huh.
Then I heard them talking, saying that they needed to grab another one or boss would be mad. They need to sell a few. They need some more. They need more people. They need more
What?
kids. And then
Oh.
they sped away. Down
They
the
were
road
people
toward
trafficking?
where the remaining construction began. The back entrance to my neighborhood was only 2 blocks away. I started running and I didn't stop running until I had made it safely up to my porch stairs and into my bedroom.
Yeah.
To this day, that scares me. Hopefully I never see these guys again.
Man, you know, that's one of the scariest things about nowadays. Like, people trafficking is real, dude. It might have just all been paranoia and coincidence, but I don't know. Don't know. It depends how much of a target you are, I guess. Man, I guess anything can happen on any day, but the fact that these holidays kind of bring people out can also make you, worry about who else is out there. That's the whole thing, man. Oh man, horror stories always make me bring out the worst in people. Tell you the truth, but these stories were pretty good, man. Hey, listen, Nightmare Files. Make sure to subscribe to him. Subscribe to me if you enjoy reactions. This is Zueljin signing off. We'll see you next time.